There is no school nearby. Boat ride. People, again, have to move so their kids can go to school, Madam Speaker. The latest one under threat, WAS. It is about 3¼ hours on a pretty nasty winter road to get to the nearest school, Madam Speaker. A road that most people don't want to drive in winter. And so what we do, allow kindergarten students to go on it. Madam Speaker, these are the results. These are some of the results of what this government's education policy has been over the last 11 years. What we're seeing now is, I think, the culmination of it. It's finally, this government has finally said that the rest has been playing games. Now they're going to come in, be draconian, bring in the hammer, legislate teachers back to work, with leaving them with a working conditions that will be untenable for our students in the future. With that, Madam Speaker, I take my place in this debate, and I thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Member. And I recognize the member for North Vancouver, Seymour.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to speak on Bill 22. And just as an introduction, I'm very much honored to represent the people of North Vancouver, Seymour, and express my love of my job. And even in difficult times, I still love serving the people in North Vancouver, Seymour, and to say hi to my kids and obviously my CAs back home. I also love teachers, Madam Speaker, and I've had lots of experience with teachers, being one myself at the university level, also being a school trustee and having 3 children, one of whom is still in the school system at Windsor Secondary School in North Vancouver. And all of the teachers, I can pretty much say all of them, have been great advocates for my children's education. In fact, just recently, actually on Friday, I got a phone call from my daughter's home ec teacher who wanted to give me an update on how she was doing. I can brag that she's doing very, very well, but I appreciated that personal phone call that I actually got. And her science teacher has been regularly giving emails to all of the parents in her class, telling the parents when the next test is, how to prepare for it, to look at their notebooks for that day or that week. So I very much appreciated being informed of my child's progress, even during this recent job action. But my daughter doesn't really struggle in school. She's quite committed and does quite well. So I'm not really too worried about her. But as an MLA working in North Vancouver, Seymour, I have had quite a few emails from the parents and phone calls from parents expressing concern of them not getting report cards or not having meetings with other professionals within the school district. So I'm only going to read you a couple of letters. I've had more, but I'm only going to read you a couple just because of time. And this was from a mom. I have 3 children in elementary school in North Vancouver who will basically be receiving blank report cards. And this one was actually, this email is from November. When is your government going to do something to end the strike action? I do not think one parent-teacher meeting in the fall is enough, and I don't want to bug the teachers about this. Please let me know when I can expect to receive report cards. I pause to note that a pediatrician for one of my children wants to see my child's report card on January 18th, 2012. And then I got another letter, and this is a letter that I was CC'd on of a parent with a special needs child to her principal. And I'm going to comment on, not mention the child's name or the teachers. I'm concerned about the absence of this teacher in my son's Math 8 class. To my understanding, the teacher sits on the executive committee for the negotiations with CUPE, and this requires her to be out of the classroom. My son is designated with the Q, and his IEP states as a strategy, quote, to create and maintain a teacher SEA support system in class whereby my son's work is consistently monitored for accuracy. This is not being followed, and my son is suffering in his math skills because of it. I currently hire a tutor to come 2 times a week for a total of 2.5 hours to help with his struggles in math. So that's just a couple of the emails that I've gotten. I've also heard a lot from principals and vice principals who are picking up the slack during the job action. Teachers aren't meeting with principals or attending staff meetings, and there are no collaborative meetings, no written communications, no report cards. It takes a team, Madam Speaker, in the schools for students to reach their full potential. Teachers, teachers' aides, principals, vice principals, administrators, and also the trustees. And currently with the job action, this team is broken down. So you can see why some students are suffering and some parents are upset. The Minister of Education has been, in my opinion, quite patient over the last year of negotiations. He has stated that he is not prepared to see another school year pass without every parent in BC getting a fulsome accounting of how their children are progressing in school. We are particularly concerned about the impact on vulnerable students. He has stated that, quite frankly, the two sides are no closer to an agreement than when they were at the start. And that's after more than 78 face-to-face meetings and 7 months of job action. We have been clear in this government that there is no new money to fund wage increases in our current fiscal plan. Times are tough, and we are not going to raise taxes or take on more debt to fund increases. And I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago when my colleague from Chilliwack brought forward a private member's statement on the importance of the net zero mandate, essentially to control spending in these uncertain economic times and ensure taxes remain low for BC families. The Teachers Federation remains focused on securing a significant pay and benefit increase and has refused up until now to accept the reality of a net zero mandate. I've been told that there is a $2 billion wage demand on the table that has prevented progress on the many non-monetary improvements that teachers are seeking. The Minister has mentioned many times, and he's been quoted actually and seen on the newspaper and the radio, and I think the term was, "I will clear my calendar to discuss these issues with the union." But the union refused. Why? Because the government is committed to its net zero mandate. 75% of public sector workers have been able to negotiate within this net zero mandate, including CUPE, the very support workers who work with teachers in the classroom. I'm told that recently there's 130 net zero contracts that have been signed for over 25,000 CUPE employees, and today we just heard another 6 K-12 support workers were announced another agreement. And that is 24 agreements signed so far, and apparently another 42 are imminent. We support and thank these unions and appreciate their understanding as to why we have instigated this net zero. And I understand many of my colleagues have recognized that, and so same with the Minister, that they agreed with this net zero mandate reluctantly, but have done so. So it is because of this impasse and the fact that many of us are being asked to intervene in order to provide report cards for students that the Minister felt that he had to act on behalf of the 500,000 students across BC. So hence we are at Bill 22. What is Bill 22? There's so much misinformation. I have received many emails from teachers who are accusing the Minister with personal attacks. He's been called a bully, and worse. He's been called picking a fight, or worse. First off, Bill 22 is not an imposed contract. It is an opportunity for a cooling off period for the parties to get down and back to the drawing table and hash out a deal. This will provide certainty for students and parents. This is what they've been asking. It simply extends the previous collective agreement to cover the mediation period, and it is an independent mediator. The only stipulation is the net zero mandate. All other issues are on the table, like local provincial splits and class organization. Last week, many MLAs were visited by their teacher reps who asked us to provide a mediator. This is what Bill 22 does. it is doing exactly what those teachers had asked for. This mediator will facilitate bargaining with the goal of reaching a mediated settlement within the net zero mandate. The other request that the government has had over the years from teachers, parents, administrators, trustees, is more help for special needs students. This bill puts more money in the classroom with the Learning Improvement Fund, $165 million over 3 years, with $76 million per year on ongoing funding to address complex class composition issues. With these funds, district will be able to hire additional teachers and educational assistants, provide additional teaching time, and support professional development and training to help teachers meet complex needs in their classroom. This new funding comes in addition to the more than $850 million per year already earmarked for students with special needs. The other request or worries that I've heard from teachers, that they fear that there is a removal of class size and composition from the bargaining. This bill restores class size and related matters to the scope of collective bargaining. It also sets the stage for more effective consultations between teachers and administrators on class organization matters. Another significant change aimed at improving learning environments for students and teachers is the elimination of district class size averages, which I've heard from many superintendents and trustees weren't working. And it implements a class size maximum of 30 students for grade 4 to 12. But there's more. In cases where the class does exceed 30 students, school districts must provide additional compensation to the teacher proportionate to the added workload. That could be in the form of increased pay, additional prep time, professional development funding, or a combination of all of these different things. We expect that these changes will result in fewer classes that exceed the 30-student cap, and a good model like Coquitlam School District is suggested, where they have no classes with over 30 students. And without exception, all K classes cannot exceed 22, and all grade 1 to 3s cannot exceed 24 students. Madam Speaker, I'm particularly interested in the issue of special needs, and I'm working on a project in response to some Finance Committee recommendations that were put forward by the group Mums on the Move last September. Mums on the Move, you may have recall, their key advocator is Dawn Steele, and the minister had mentioned it, her remarks, during his remarks when he initiated second reading of Bill 22. And I just wanted to talk to you just a little bit about it. Her solution, and she has children with special needs, her solution to unmanageable classes is not discriminatory quotas, but better support for teaching and learning that addresses the realities of today's diverse classrooms. That means broader training for teachers, restoring learning supports, and flexible models that adapt to actual needs. And she pleads with the province and teachers to stop posturing and put students first by immediately reinvesting in learning supports and training, addressing gaps in teacher certification standards, and supporting new multi-stakeholder frameworks for constructive and collaborative problem solving. This is what I am going to be doing starting this Friday in my riding. I have a regional roundtable set up, and the people that are coming to visit to talk precisely with what Dawn Steele has mentioned are an assistant superintendent, a teacher and parent of a special needs child, a trustee and a parent of 2 children with special needs, an SEA, a principal, 3 parents with kids with special needs, and a parent and teacher from an independent school. These people are all willing to come and visit and talk to me about the issues that are near and dear to all parents and teachers who are interested and want to make classes better, not just for special needs kids, but for typical kids too. And that is what Bill 22 is trying to address. It covers a wide range of abilities and challenges, provides for more regular and meaningful consultation with teachers on class size organization so that teachers can be more involved in decisions on how classes are organized. And we all know that the current system isn't working. As a school trustee, I had to deal with all the reports of grievances regarding class sizes. As an MLA on Finance Committee, we were constantly lobbied for school trustees, thousands of union grievances that cost the taxpayers millions of dollars, and where could that millions of dollars be going? Straight into the classrooms. The employers were hoping to achieve more transparency around how teachers' positions are posted, filled, assigned, or transferred. This would help ensure the best qualified and most suitable teachers are posted to the right positions. Strict seniority means that we are losing opportunities to match the best qualified and most suitable teachers to the right positions. Vacancies for jobs would be subject to 5 key factors in addition to seniority. Employee experience related to the position, performance, qualifications, and suitability to the position and the school. The proposals by the employer do not strip teachers of seniority rights. It puts the issue of post and fill or seniority to a mediator to work with the parties to find a solution. Government's position is simply that we need some consistency across the province to ensure that qualifications are appropriately considered. Surrey and the Central Okanagan already have contract language that strikes a good balance. We just want to be looking at something that has worked in those districts and perhaps establishing some consistency province-wide. In other words, to do what works. So in summary, Madam Speaker, we are talking exactly about the issues that were being addressed by the members opposite. We are talking about strengthening the education system. We are talking about working and coming together. We appreciate that teachers are burnt out. We appreciate that teachers sometimes feel that they're not meeting the needs of all their students. Bill 22 is trying to fix this. Teachers are highly educated, specialized professionals. We value them. I will use the...
At any rate,